In today's video, I want to go over the differences between Jade roller and Gua Sha, go over some of the techniques of each and each of their advantages and disadvantages. So these are the two tools. We've got the Jade roller here, and this is the Gua Sha. So this one can come in a few different shapes and sizes. Typically it has this little like divot right here, but the rest of the shapes can differ. This is just the one I'm using for this video. Both of these are pretty ancient remedies that have been used for a long time for lymphatic drainage, a little bit of like facial sculpting. They've gotten really trendy now, so everyone's kind of learning and experimenting with them. So I just wanted to teach you guys how to properly do it at home. The cool thing about these devices is that you're kind of getting this like spa-like experience at home, and you can get a lot of benefits that you would, pay a lot of money to go to, a spa and get a facial. But these are little things that you can do at home that make a huge difference. I personally use them all the time. It's become super therapeutic to me. So let's go through the differences. Now, both of these are a form of lymphatic drainage. So lymphatic drainage is something we like to kind of help assist. It's basically taking toxins and clearing them out of our body. So it's almost like a different kind of circulation. You've got like your blood circulation, and then you've got lymphatic drainage. So just the most gentle touch can actually help move it along. And I think a lot of people assume that when you want to do lymphatic drainage, you have to maybe press really hard or really push it along, but even just the like smallest touch can stimulate it. I go over this in my facial massage video where it's just using your hands for facial massage. So one of the key points for both of these is to be very gentle. You don't have to press really hard. You shouldn't be red or irritated when you do this, and it's still going to give you that lymphatic drainage. Now the difference is the Gua Sha goes into more than lymphatic drainage. It actually can relieve muscle tension. The way you do it and kind of form and sculpt gives you a lot more than the Jade roller in terms of sculpting, muscle tension, like relaxing. But it's a little bit more complicated. There's a little more technique to it. So I think that Jade rolling is kind of an easier thing to just do all the time. You can grab it and it's just really simple. This isn't hard once you get to know the technique, but it can take longer. It kind of follows the meridians of the face. That's how it's been used for years. So there's a lot more to it than just rolling, but we'll go through both of them and I'll teach you how to do it. So the first thing you have to do before using either of these is make sure that your face is nice and cleansed. And then I like to use any kind of like hydrating mist or spray to get my face like kind of prepped and ready. Then apply an oil. You have to use an oil when you're doing these. You want to make sure they're gliding really smoothly. And if you don't have an oil, it might be like, it almost feels like rug burn. Like it's not going to be a smooth finish. So I'm going to use this Murad hydration mist. You can use any kind of hydration mist you want. You could even use like an Evian spray. And it's just like a light mist. And then for the oil, I'm using this Honest Beauty organic facial oil. Again, whatever oil you like is totally fine, but I like to be really generous with this so that I can really get like a good surface for each tool. I'm gonna take this oil and just put a few drops pretty much everywhere. A lot of different oils have different textures. I usually don't always want like the oiliest oil, but when it comes to this, I want one that's like really nice and oily. Also gonna get some on my neck. You'll see why I'm putting some right here too. That's where we start. Okay. So I always like to start with the clavicle bone and the neck because you want to make sure you're basically creating an opening for the lymphatic drainage to go through. And this is kind of the points that you want to do that. So make sure that if you're doing either of these, you start down here because it's almost like trying to clear everything out but not giving them an exit to go out of. So just literally so there's two sides of the Jade roller. I take the big side and like I said, very lightly, just roll along your clavicle. And then you're gonna move on to your neck and you're just gonna go in a downward motion. So it's funny because we're always talking about lifting everything. The neck is the opposite when it comes to lymphatic drainage. You wanna go down the neck. So very lightly. You can do this like 3 to 5 times for a few minutes. You'll also begin to find it really therapeutic, so sometimes you'll want to go a little bit longer. So now that we've kind of prepped and we're getting ready, The next thing I'm gonna do is go from my chin up to my jaw, and then I'm also gonna bring it back down my neck. So we're going up and then down to bring it back down, like this. And you can see I'm doing it very gently. And I'm gonna do it to the other side. I like to also go over my lips. I feel like kind of gives me like a lifted motion. Sometimes I'm doing it, I even focus on the corners of my mouth and apply just like a little bit more pressure. So some of this is for lymphatic drainage and some of it's also for like lifting and toning your face. So you can kind of play around with what areas you want to focus on. So I'll start in the middle of my lips and just go outwards here. And then I'll go up on the corners. Up the cheeks again, and I kind of like to focus on the cheeks because it accentuates your cheekbones a little bit. And then I'll take the smaller edge. I really like using this for under the eyes, and I'm always extra gentle under the eyes. You know, the skin here is a little bit more delicate. So again, we're gonna start in the center and just roll out. Under the eyes is actually super relaxing. So then for the forehead, I like to start, this is just the way I do it. I'll go back to the big side and I'll kind of do a vertical roll but move outwards like this. I'll do it a few times on each side. And then when we're gonna focus on the eyebrows, we're gonna kind of do the same thing where we're going outwards. So you can start up here. I close my eyes for this one. Then go to the other eye. You know, if you're doing this with your fingers, it's kind of the same thing with lymphatic drainage. There's like these pressure points you kind of push on where you're going outwards. Then the last thing I'll do is my nose, and you can use either side of this and just go down the nose. So that's kind of how you do it, like I said, when it's focused on lymphatic drainage, but then you can think about certain areas of your face that you really want to lift. Like if you also want to work on your upper eyes, this can help with toning fine lines, preventing wrinkles. You can just go like a little more gently up here. Accentuate that cat eye maybe. Again, this is my favorite area to focus on. Another great thing to do is keep this in the fridge or freezer. This can also really help if you get like tension headaches. Even having that coldness can really help. Really great in the morning. It like helps you wake up. It's like super refreshing. There's some people that will use an actual ice roller and keep it in the freezer, and the difference is just that it holds on to that like iciness longer. I'm totally fine just keeping this in the fridge or freezer. It's more than enough for me. And you know, I'll walk around my house doing it. Like it's not something I have to like really sit necessarily and focus on. So now I want to go to the Gua Sha. This one is like a little bit more focused and there's a little more technique. So I just want to teach you a quick version of it, of the basics, so that you can learn to do it yourself. The first thing I want to say is one common mistake people make is to really use the edge of this, and you should always keep it flat. You don't want this to be sharp. There's times you know, where it's like a little bit lifted, but you always want to make sure it's more flat. And again, we're going to be using this pretty gently. And throughout different parts of your face, your neck, your chin, you can use different sides of the divot. Now, because the Gua Sha is meant a little more for muscle relief and muscle tension, you always want to start with the back of your neck, because our body is attached, everything's connected, but especially your neck and your face. If you're having any kind of like jaw tension or any kind of like facial tension at all, you want to start with the back of your neck. So you're going to use a little divot and picture it kind of like sandwiching your spine. So this is your spine bone, and we're going to go in an upward motion, but not like this. We're going to keep it flat, but just still use it to sandwich. So I'm going to go up the neck. And then the important thing with every part of the Gua Sha is every time you hit the end point of what we're doing and where you're lifting up to, you're going to stop and just wiggle it a little bit and then move on. So almost give it like a little wiggle or massage. And we do everything like 3 to 5 times each. 3 times is enough. Go up. So the next thing we're gonna work on the neck first before we get to the face. I'm actually going to put a little bit of oil here just to make it glide a little more easily. Also, it's nice to make sure we're remembering our neck and chest anyway when we're using products, so it's a great idea just to put oils here anyway. It's good for your skin. So the next thing we're gonna do is the sides of the neck. So we're gonna make sure we cover the neck fully, but we're gonna start at the shoulder. You can use the flat edge of this, so we're not gonna use the divot this time, and you're going to bring it all the way up until you go into your hairline, and as soon as you hit bone up here, then you're gonna do a little wiggle again. I'm gonna do this 3 times. You would do this on both sides. For the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna do it on one side. And then the next thing you're gonna do is your collarbone. So you can even place your finger on your collarbone just so you know where to start. Sometimes that makes it easier. And you're gonna drag it up again, flat. And once you get to your jaw, that's where you wiggle. Again, you're doing this pretty gently. And do it on both sides. And then we are gonna finish by just doing the front of the neck. So right where there's this like little divot here on your chest, you can feel it in between your collarbone. You're gonna use the this side of the Gua Sha and just move up. Again, try to keep it flat. And then just wiggle once you get up to your chin. So the next thing I like to do is kind of like the jade rolling. I'm gonna start with my jawline and go up, and then start with the chin and go up. So you're gonna use the flat edge of this again. You can put your fingers in your face just to like help you center, but you don't need to put them here. So using the flat edge, once you get up to pretty much like almost like your ear, like this part of your bone, then you're gonna wiggle it again. And you do this 3 times. And then once you do it on the other side of your face, next you would go to your cheeks. And this is also my favorite part. Again, I like to really focus on cheekbones and make them like lifted and sculpted. And honestly, if you do this on one side of your face to the other, you should try. You could probably see a difference of how much more lifted your face is. So you're gonna start here, kind of in the corner of your mouth by your nose, go up, get all the way up to like your temple in your hairline, and then wiggle it. Next, we're gonna do under eye, and remember this is a super delicate area, so go as light as possible here, like almost like a feather light touch. You're gonna keep the notch side up, and you can even close your eyes if you want, and just gently go out, and then again, once you get up to your temple, you're gonna wiggle it again. So we do the bottom of the eye, now we're gonna kind of do the brow, which is almost like the brow lift part. For the first one, we're actually gonna go pretty much start under your brow and then lift all the way up. So you're gonna close your eye for this one. Again, using the flat edge, you're gonna start here. Once you get to your hairline, this is where you're going to kind of stop and wiggle. So then of course you would do the other side. Then we're gonna move to the center of the forehead, and you can have the notch facing up, and again, use a flat surface, but you're gonna go straight up, and once you get into your hairline again, stop and do the same little wiggle massage. So obviously, like I said, you do that on both sides. I can actually even tell, since I focus more on my right side, that it feels a little bit more lifted right now. My cheekbone looks a little more defined. But as you can see, Gua Sha is a little more like of a ritual. You know, to do it the right way, you know, it takes a little bit more practice and concentration. So it's not like something that I could necessarily walk around my house doing, especially because I don't want to use the hard edges of this, and you want to make sure you're always using the flat edge. Whereas the jade roller is just something it even feels nice and is therapeutic to just do, you know, continuously. So whichever one you choose to do, they're both great. You do have to do these regularly to really see a difference. It's just like any like muscle or body part or anything, your brain, anything you use more and work more will like give you longer results of what you're working towards. I hope you liked this video. I can put links below to some of my favorite Gua Sha and jade roller tools. I love both of these. I definitely use a Jade roller more, but I am getting a little more into Gua Sha because I know it has really amazing benefits. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Leave all your questions below, and I'll see you next time.